I know I'm gonna make a lot of people mad with this, but no one should take your opinion seriously on anything. For those of you who might not even know what the heck I'm talking about, basically, Dragon Ball Z Abridged was an internet fan dub of Dragon Ball Z made by this group of like online, I don't want to call them influencers, but it was this group of people, this group of friends online that made this dub, and it basically was kind of just them messing around. And you know, it was an online dub series. There were a ton of these. There was one by this guy called Super Saiyan Gozar back in the day called Alternate Reality Dragon Ball Z, which was always infinitely superior to Abridged. But regardless, for whatever reason, Dragon Ball Z Abridged became like people's go-to for humorous fan-made Dragon Ball content. And as time went on, they started, you know, taking less of a straight parody approach, and it kind of just became like its own little weird English dub. And at some point, Toei, the cartoon studio, the television studio in Japan that distributes Dragon Ball Z and licenses everything, came after them, and they hit them with copyright strikes, and Funimation wasn't happy about it either. Famously, the United States actor for Goku, Sean Schemmel, really hates Dragon Ball Z Abridged. So let's get into why exactly I hate this. Well, truth be told, Dragon Ball Z Abridged, for what it is not that bad. It's not exceptionally offensive or anything. The problem is the fans of this stupid dub. They have just allowed this to overtake their minds like a freaking virus, to the point where you'll hear a common refrain that it's the ultimate way to watch Dragon Ball Z. There is seriously a common sentiment among these idiot fans talking about how if you want to get into Dragon Ball Z, don't even bother with the manga or anime, just watch Abridged. And I'm not trying to speak for this man or act like I should defend Toriyama, but it bothers me because I am a huge fan of Dragon Ball Z, dude. The Dragon Ball period. And it bothers me to have people who claim to be fans of Dragon Ball talking about how this random stupid internet fan dub from the late freaking 2000s is infinitely superior to anything that the actual creator made. Like, that is just objectively disrespectful. What is wrong with you psychos? You're basically spitting on Toriyama's legacy, talking about how this random freaking fan dub online, on YouTube, made by some guys goofing around trying to just mess, you know, they're fans, but they're basically taking the piss. They're making a mockery. It's a joke. And you're saying that is the quintessential Dragon Ball experience. That is the only proper way to experience this story and these characters. Tell me how that makes sense. You guys are freaking morons, dude. There's no argument for this. There's no coming back from this. Brain dead. People who want to get into Dragon Ball Z, people always go, oh, you gotta watch Abridged. You gotta watch Abridged. They run these stupid jokes into the ground. You can't have a Dragon Ball Z conversation without a bunch of douchebags throwing in quotes from the freaking dub. Piccolo's a Yoshi. Piccolo's a Yoshi. Piccolo's Gohan's real dad. Goku's a terrible father. You're all a bunch of children. You're all stuck at 13. It's not 2009 anymore. Leave it alone. You can still like it, but like I said, people worship this show and run around talking like it's better than the actual series. I understand that Dragon Ball Z anime, like anime in general back then, it has a bunch of filler episodes, but all Dragon Ball Z Abridged really is, it's a freaking joke. Like, it's some freaking middle school humor from the 2000s specifically. Like I said, they started taking it more seriously later on, but it's still basically a joke dub. It's not, they flanderize the characters. And Dragon Ball Z fans, a lot of them, watch Dragon Ball Z Abridged more than the actual freaking series. Like, you could talk to these guys about Dragon Ball Z. They'll be like, I don't remember that happening, because their knowledge of Dragon Ball Z has been so conflated that they basically think of Abridged as the canon story. And I'm in some fandoms that have some really backward brain dead corners, like Breaking Bad, Star Wars. There are some fandoms that I'm in where people just take it to such stupid levels. But when it comes to Dragon Ball Z, it's like, you know that joke, that meme about how Dragon Ball Z fans don't watch the show or whatever? They're talking about Dragon Ball Z Abridged fans. Like, I honestly think that people's interactions with Dragon Ball Z Abridged fans is where that originates from. These people don't know the show, they don't care about the show, all they care about is Abridged. I can't tell you how many times you know, I've had conversations with people who are anime fans, you know, or maybe they're not even anime fan, but they start watching Dragon Ball because Dragon Ball was the first series. So they're like, you know what, I want to get into Dragon Ball. I'm gonna start with Dragon Ball, and they'll tell me like, oh yeah, I was talking to so and so, and he told me about Dragon Ball Z Abridged, and I'm like, oh my god, it starts.
It starts.
They just can't wait. Anytime someone is about to start watching Dragon Ball, it's like they spawn and just materialize out of the abyss, talking about, you gotta watch Abridged. It's so much better than the actual Dragon Ball Z story. You gotta watch Abridged. I hate you guys so much. I don't care. You can dislike, bomb, false flag this video, leave all the hate comments you want. You're a bunch of freaking idiots. You can suck my Dragon Ball. Seriously, I cannot stand you guys. You guys make me feel gross to be a Dragon Ball Z fan because of your mindless worship of this stupid freaking fan dub from the internet. Like, it's just insulting. There are certain fan bases that have beef with other fandoms, but basically, as far as I'm concerned, I have beef with my own fandom. So anyone who's actually interested in watching Dragon Ball Z, I implore you, don't listen to the stories that people tell you about it being so much superior than the actual Dragon Ball story. Like, you guys seriously need to go back and rewatch and reread and understand why so many people fell in love with this story. Now, to some extent, I could see an explanation a little bit, because in the late 2000s, Dragon Ball was sort of stagnant. All right, we were getting the last Dragon Ball Z game on the PS2 and Infinite World. There was the freaking Raging Blast and like Burst Limit and other stuff was coming. But as far as new content, you know, this was the era when like we didn't get a new piece of like official TV show or movie from Dragon Ball Z for like, I don't know, what was it, 18 years when Battle of Gods came out in the US. So there was a dry spell, and I feel like during that period, people were just so hungry for new Dragon Ball content that they latched onto this thing. And then when Toei shut it down, they were like, yo, we have to keep it alive, because they felt like TFS were a bunch of martyrs or whatever. And the ironic thing is that TFS always put a disclaimer in their video saying, please go and support the original work, support Akira Toriyama, support the official dub. And this is not at all me trying to hate on Team 4-Star. I don't know them. I have no reason to assume they're not all cool people, but the fans need to shut up. You guys, you need to just drink some pond water. That's all I got to say. Dragon Ball Z Abridged is weak sauce and the fans are so stupid. I want to fight you all. I will pimp slap you in your sleep. Get the